guess I need to turn on the microphone, don't I? Mars has got me all upset over here.
Oh, boy.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, we talk to Buzz Smith about EVs. Guess it's the EV hour. Konrad has the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we'll have this week's automotive news. Howdy, along with Mike Mars, King Konrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today, and let's just get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Dallas, Texas area of North Texas, it's the EV-angelist or evangelist, the EV guy that we all go to, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Buzz Smith.
Good morning.
With the background of rock icons.
Yeah, actually, these are all paintings that my daughter made.
Oh,
Really?
seriously?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, she's had no formal training. She's about 40 years old and just took up painting like 2 or 3 years ago, and now she sells paintings.
And they're available for purchase where?
It's called goodearthart.com.
Okay.
Well, good. Well, we got that plug in. So, Buzz,
She will be glad, yeah.
Buzz, it's good to see you. And we kind of got an EV thing going on here this morning because we talked to Consumer Reports about how the Tesla Model S changed the entire car market forever and ever. And I thought that's kind of appropriate. Here we go. We're going to talk to Buzz about how things are going in the EV market. Everybody, including his mother and not mother, everybody is all a buzz about EVs these days. Everybody's making them. Not everybody can get them. Some of them are affordable. Some of them are stupidly priced.
The government's telling you to buy one?
Yeah, and you can't charge them anywhere. Well, I can't really say that with total confidence.
Well, you can't charge them here because you've only got 50 amps coming into the house.
Well, there is that. But, there is this charging. I don't want to say issue, Buzz, but it certainly don't have a charging station on every street corner like you've got the 7-Elevens.
In aluminum
That's
wire.
absolutely true. And the problem is that you're thinking of recharging a car like filling it with gas. Those are two completely different things. And most of the time you're going to do it at home or at work if you have that capability. The other thing is that the first infrastructure bill that was approved has started distributing millions, tens of millions of dollars to individual states. Texas, I believe, got 438 million and just announced that every 50 miles along the major interstates of Texas, there will be DC fast charging. So you can go from El Paso to Texarkana or from Brownsville to Texline and in Texas in an EV. And so that's coming soon. But the thing that's important here, everybody's like, oh, I should wait to buy an EV until there are plenty of charging stations. Here's the thing. You wouldn't own a mobile phone if that was the case. Wait, there's no cell towers. Where am I going to get connected to the phone lines to make a phone call?
So true.
I'm not buying one of these things. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
No, this is something that grows organically. As EV adoption grows, and it's growing very quickly right now, you're going to see charging infrastructure grow. If all of those cell towers had been built before we all owned phones, then all of those companies would have gone out of business because they had no customers.
So what is the real news this week in the EV world for you?
The real news this week is that dealers are being pushed to the point that they're charging well over MSRP. And this is not just EVs, this is all vehicles. And but EVs are definitely, I've been trying to locate a Kia EV6. That's probably the next EV I'm going to buy. But when I do find one, it's a minimum of $10,000 over MSRP. And that's just stupid. I'll never be able to trade that car away and get another one because I'll be upside down forever. And so.
But is that not the case just with the market, not specifically EVs? You know,
that's the entire automotive market. The chip shortage, the supply chain problems are really hitting. And the problem is, it used to be when you bought at invoice, consumers thought, okay, I'm getting it at dealer cost. And we all know that's not the case. The dealer had all sorts of performance incentives behind the curtain, and that would reduce their original purchase price. Well, nowadays I'm being told by various dealerships that invoice and actual dealer cost are becoming almost the exact same number, which means that they can't sell at invoice anymore and make a profit. So they're being pushed to the point that they're charging over MSRP. At the same time, the OEMs and GM and or Cadillac, I think it was, or maybe it was all of GM and Ford did this. They sent out letters to their dealers and said, if you overcharge over MSRP for our vehicles, we're going to punish you. Of course, that's price fixing, which is not allowed in the United States. It was an empty threat from the beginning. But I honestly think the OEMs are starting to believe that the only way they can compete with Tesla is to become Tesla, to sell direct. You don't get the car the day you want it. You order it, you get it 1 to 2 months later. There will be some inventory for people who are in car accidents and total their car and need one instantly. But I think the OEMs are seeing a big sea change coming.
Yep.
The dealerships are not seeing that. And the salespeople absolutely don't want anything to do with EVs because it takes them more time to sell, and they're 100% commission based. So that's a lower hourly rate. So they're going to resist this as far as they can. And we reach this roadblock where one of these two sides is going to survive and one's not. And I do think that it's a good possibility that traditional auto dealerships, as we understand them, won't exist 5 to 10 years from now.
Well, and if you look at where they are today, they're selling off the truck. That truck comes in, those 8
Boom.
vehicles
Yep.
on that truck, 7 of them are pre-sold, and the other one, there's 7 people down on the ground waiting, saying, hey, I'll give you this, I'll give you this, I'll give you this, which is elevating the price. And people think that dealers may not be as profitable. They're more profitable today because there's no floor plan expense. Carrying 1,000 vehicles in inventory cost you X dollars per month per
Yep.
car. That goes away, and now they're selling over MSRP. It's
And tax at the
I
end
think
of the
it's
year.
really helped their bottom line, except for having to blow all the dust off of that big empty concrete space in front of their building every day.
Yeah, I think those huge dealerships are becoming dinosaurs. I mean, think about the footprint of a Polestar dealership or a Tesla showroom. It's a very small footprint. You can still test drive, but the critically important thing is when you go to those places, you have educated people that understand EVs that can answer your questions. And typically those salespeople, if they're even considered salespeople, aren't commissioned. They're paid a straight salary. Maybe they've got some performance bonuses, but the whole industry is going to be changed by Tesla. And one other thing, back to Don's comment, we owe a debt to Elon Musk. He's the first one to make EVs sexy. That first Roadster, which is really Lotus Elise with an electric drivetrain in it, was a gorgeous car. The Model S, when it came out, if you compared it to any other EV available at the time, it was leaps ahead in attractiveness.
And still is.
Yeah. And there are some hot looking EVs out there. I would say the EV6, which is what I'm looking at, is an exceptional
Wait a
view.
minute.
I wasn't comparing EV to EV, just that the Tesla Model S is still, to this day, a good looking car.
It's a
relative
good
car.
seller. Yeah.
Getting a little bit dated looking. They need to mix it up a little bit. But other than that, yeah.
So how many
think
deposits?
That's a huge deal.
How many deposits do you have? Because I remember you saying you had
At least a couple.
A couple, 3 that you had deposits on. Now it's 4 or 5.
No, I'm holding at 3 right now.
Okay, and they are
EV6.
The Chevy Silverado EV, which I may change to a Blazer now that that's been announced. The Canoe lifestyle vehicle. Canoe may not make it to market. They've had, they went to public listing on the stock exchanges through a SPAC or special purpose acquisition company. It's a backdoor way to get listed on the stock exchanges without having to go through all of the
legal.
that's a California company. Is that built in South Korea or Japan or something? And it's sold out of California.
Is a type of company, so it's
Okay.
really
No, Canoe.
shell of a company.
Canoe.
Oh, Canoe. They are based or headquarters was in Justin, Texas, just north of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Oh,
Their manufacturing facility was a micro facility that they announced in Oklahoma, and they've announced another one, or they've changed their mind and are in Arkansas as well. So it looks like
here's a
Texas,
flashback
Oklahoma,
for you.
Arkansas is where they focused.
You ready for this flashback? Do you canoe? Canoe.
Canoe.
Apparently, they might not be canoeing, according to
And
Buzz.
they just got selected by NASA as the Artemis crew vehicle. So when they take them out to the Artemis launch pad, it's going to be in a Canoe lifestyle vehicle, which, again, it's a very cool vehicle. And then the third one I've got a deposit on is the Fisker Ocean SUV. And that's going to be an SUV that's available in the high 30s that, Fisker made the Fisker Karma back in the day.
Right.
Heinrich Fisker is legendary in the automotive industry. So
but not
I think they have a
affiliated.
real good chance of succeeding.
But not affiliated anymore, is he?
No. His first company went bankrupt
Right.
when a hurricane went through New York, and a bunch of the Fisker Karmas caught fire when they were inundated with seawater. They were flooded, and the company went bankrupt. They got bought out by China, or by a company in China, if that's really a separate thing. And their battery manufacturer was also bought by China.
Back in the days, did you buy a Citroen, or did you buy an Edsel, or any other kind of car?
What was
like
your
that?
car before you became the EV-angelist?
Well, my first car was a 67 Camaro Rally Sport.
Oh, wow.
So I've always been about what I think were cool looking American cars. I got a 76 Monte Carlo. Then I went to motorcycles for a while. Then I got a Triumph TR6 Roadster, which if they would come out with a 2-seat Roadster, probably not a Triumph, but let's say the Kia, or not the Kia, what am I thinking of? Mazda.
The Miata.
The Miata, yeah. If they came out
MX-5.
with a Miata that still had the 50-50 weight ratio, but was 100% electric, I'd buy that thing in a heartbeat. After the Triumph, I went into old man mode and got an Oldsmobile, a small Oldsmobile. And then after that, I think it was 4 Lexuses in a row. I got an Acura Integra GSR manual transmission.
Oh,
that
wow.
was my kind of flirting with a fun manual transmission car after the
Little hot
the
rodder.
Triumph TR6. Yeah, kind of a hot rod. And then after that, I was Lexus for 4 ES300s. And then a car accident when gas prices were high made me look at the Chevy Bolt, and I've been plug-in ever since. I'm an accidental EV on it.
Now, are you still doing your training don't you contract into dealerships to do training?
That's kind of morphed because of the lack of interest by dealerships. There's still companies working with me like Evolve Houston in the Houston area to try to get that going, but the dealers just aren't interested. They're saying, if we train these people right now and we've got no inventory to sell, they'll forget everything they learned before we have cars
Absolutely.
here for them to sell.
Yep.
So it's kind of back burner for the auto dealers. Now the OEMs, I'm working with 3 different marketing companies that develop training materials for the automotive industry. And so I've worked with one company that I can't name because of an NDA, but I've done work for Ford. I've done work for General Motors, specifically Chevrolet, and Kia, and another one that I signed an NDA on, which is a foreign company. So the OEMs are getting very interested in training the dealerships. But again, the sales people at the dealerships, having been on the inside, I know that they've got to take this training. It's required by the OEM for them to get, certain bonuses. But what the salespeople will do is they'll pay one salesperson to take all of the tests,
Take everybody's
all of the training, and they get certified that way.
Well, and then the other struggle, and I'm sure this is some of the dealers' perspective, is the turnover is tremendous at the salesperson's level. You go into a dealership, there are those guys that have been, if the dealership's been around, there are those guys that have been there 10, 15, 20 years. And then there's another line of guys that have been there 3 to 5 years. And then there's the newbies. And those newbies are always turning over. And there's an expense in training and doing the EV training of those newbies that, it'd be hard to recover.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things that I tell everybody, dealers and OEMs, is one of the fastest ways for salespeople to learn how to sell the car is through osmosis. So give them a demo for a month or 2. Let them charge at the dealership. So if they live in an apartment, they don't have to worry about that right now. And within that first month, they'll know all the answers that customers are questioning about. It's one thing to sit down and somebody says you have a 66 kilowatt hour battery pack, which means you can go 259 miles at an average of 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. No one's going to remember that stuff. But if you drive an EV, you know that, in the hottest days of summer, I'm going to lose some range. In the cool spring and autumn, I'm going to gain some range. I know how this works. I know how plugging in at home affects my electric bill. They're just going to know all this stuff. And when a customer asks a question, they'll not only answer it, but they'll answer it confidently and from personal experience, and also be able to tell personal stories about their adventures with their EV. which is what I used to do. And 35% of everything I sold had a plug on it. You know, that's extraordinary in Texas. Actually, it's extraordinary nationwide for a traditional OEM's salesperson to have that kind of percentage of plug-in vehicles.
Right.
But it was easy for me because I knew all the answers because I lived it.
And
Does your wife tell you that?
My wife is actually brilliant. She's the one that
Good
suggested that I
answer.
get an EV, believe it or
Okay.
not.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page, that we all think that you're brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all.
so with your relationship with some of the OEMs and the non-disclosure ones, do any of them have a plan to put a demo program in to a dealership? Because the dealer's not going to self-fund something like that. That's going to
Right.
need to be
Dealers are not
supported.
going to do it. None of the OEMs have signed up for that yet. And some of them I am insulated from, where that global marketing company that has been doing training for that OEM for decades doesn't want that OEM to meet me directly.
Yeah, well, it's
So
like
they work with me on the training curriculum,
right.
and then they present all of that to the OEM.
Yeah, it's when I work
there
for
are some of the companies have gotten where they're introducing me directly to the OEMs, and we're making much faster headway than the ones where I'm being insulated.
well, that's when I worked for General Motors. I think it was Merritt's was the one that GM used.
I could barely hear you just then.
When I worked for General Motors, I think it was Merritt's was the one that they used for all of their training throughout. And yeah, they definitely keep that level of separation.
Yeah.
And probably for a reason that benefits them, not necessarily the salesperson, the consumer, or the manufacturer.
Yeah, the last thing they want is for that OEM to say, why don't we cut out the middleman and just have Buzz make our training curriculum? And I don't want that either. I mean, I want to work with these companies, and that way I'm not getting spread too thin. I can have the impact on each one of these and do a lot more with them than I could do alone.
Interesting.
So even with all those contacts, you can't get the Kia EV you're looking for.
Well, I'm going to actually meet the Kia people on a conference call early next week.
And I'm sure that will be one of the questions.
Yeah, you can bet. Well, that's the other thing. I don't know if you know this, but the first dealership in Houston, or the first, it wasn't a dealership, but like a family of dealerships, had reached out to Evolve Houston. They came out to meet me at the Houston Auto Show, and they were ready to pull the trigger. And one of their dealerships was a Kia dealership. So I was all ready to say, guys, help me out here. But that's been postponed because of inventory.
Well, I can tell you that there is an EV6 in the press fleet. So it's right up there in Dallas. So go for it.
Ooh.
Well, what did you have to put down on that EV6? What is the going rate for a deposit nowadays?
You know, I've seen that not change. My deposit on the Silverado, I think, was $200 or $250, about the same for the Fisker Ocean, fully refundable. You know, it's not a real commitment, but it gets me a place in line should they start producing the vehicles.
Cool.
And then what about I've been reading that GM's what I call the Ultium skateboard, which is the way that they do it, kind of a skateboard, and they just plop bodies on top of it. They're going to be selling their skateboard, the Ultium platform, to Honda, and Honda's going to put their own body on that. Any ETA on that?
Don't know about the ETA, but this is a very common thing. There's another company called Triple E, I think it is, out of England that's doing skateboards. So there are multiple skateboard manufacturers, and think about how fast products will make it to the market if you just buy the entire drivetrain, including the battery pack, as a skateboard and drop your chassis on it.
Right.
So this is going to really accelerate things. It's going to be a new profit center for the traditional OEMs as well as these new companies. So I think it's a great idea. We'll end up with a standardized platform over time, I think. And it's a win-win for everybody. And in fact, think about the day that you'll pull into your garage, and maybe homes will be a little bit different then, but I need an SUV today. So you go in the garage and there's a crane in there that lifts the sports car body off of this thing and puts a small SUV body onto it. And then you drive off in that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll hold my breath for that one. Buzz, it's great to talk to you. What's the website?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, the EV-angelist.com.
Beautiful. It's
Maybe-
great. It's great to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care and
Always
keep
good to see you guys.
and good and be sure and give us a call when you got something new.
Okay, and I'll give you a call if I'm heading down to Houston, because you and I still need to go driving around in some EVs.
We definitely do. Okay, thanks again, Buzz. All right, time now for Konrad's Car Clinic. And what are we doing today?
Well, we're going to talk about how automotive cooling systems work. With 100-degree ambient temperatures,
Ooh.
there's a little stress going on with the cooling
I'm
system.
stressed in here today with I don't have any coolant.
And, the automotive coolant system serves three important functions. The cooling system removes excess heat from the engine. It maintains the engine at operating temperature for optimum performance and cleanest emissions. And the cooling system brings the engine up to the correct operating temperature as quickly as it can. All of those are important features. Cooling system has 6 main components: the engine, the radiator, the water pump, the cooling fan, hoses, and a thermostat. During the combustion process, depending on the engine and driving conditions, as much as 70% of the engine power is converted to heat. The excess heat is transferred to the coolant that's being circulated through the engine by the water pump. That the hoses carry it to the radiator, where the air is pulled through the radiator by the fan, and that's what lowers the temperature. So when you look at this picture, it's hot water in the top of the radiator, and it comes out as cold water in the bottom. Cold water in the bottom of the engine, that becomes hot water at the top, and that helps it circulate along with the water pump. At times, the coolant isn't hot enough to open the thermostat all the way. When this happens, the engine is dependent on the radiator to keep the coolant temperature stable. As long as there's enough airflow through the radiator, the engine won't overheat. But if for some reason that amount of airflow changes, say you get a plastic bag stuffed up in there, or the fan belt breaks on it. Well, today's most everything's serpentine, but all of those things stop happening and the engine overheats. And engine overheating can be truly a catastrophic failure. But most common causes of overheating are a loss of coolant due to a leak in the system, a blockage in the hoses, passages in the radiator get clogged up, or malfunctioning water pump or broken thermostat. Many of these problems are a result of a lack of preventative maintenance system. Cooling systems are susceptible to corrosion, such as rust and scaling. Rust, everybody knows what that is. If you've ever opened a radiator cap on a GM vehicle that's got Dexcool in it, take the radiator cap off and it's got all that mud packed in there. That's actually dissolved engine. That's the corrosion inside a cast iron block that literally floats on top of the coolant, that as the cooling system goes up and down, packs that mud into that radiator cap. So all of those things bring me to tell you, get your coolant system fluid flushed on a regular interval, every 30,000, 40,000 miles. It's a small investment in the long-term durability of your engine and cooling system. And that is Konrad's Corner for the week.
It's Konrad's Car Clinic.
Konrad's Car Clinic.
Konrad's Corner?
Well, I've been told to go sit in the corner many times. So
It's still playing through for you. All right. Okay, time now for the stories making automotive news headlines this week. What are you guys doing over there? You're working. Well, that's something new. CDK said 81% of Gen Z members said their biggest priority when purchasing a car was taking their time and exploring all of their options. In today's instant gratification market, I find that hard to believe.
So do I.
Younger car buyers were less likely to recommend the dealership experience and had more frustrations with the car buying process than older consumers, according to a survey by CDK Global Incorporated. The study released Thursday surveyed 1,100 recent car buyers in December and analyzed their preferences and frustrations with the car buying process by various age groups. The study classified members of Gen Z as car buyers from the ages of 18 to 25. The survey also said members of Gen Z had more difficulty purchasing a vehicle online than older generations.
That's surprising because you'd think they'd be more apt to, the online process.
Well, what does that tells me that there's a problem with the car buying process online, which would be a dealership function.
Mm-hmm.
45% of Gen Z respondents told CDK they were frustrated by having to wait for a salesperson when going to a dealership. Gen Zs said that they wanted someone to help them. They wanted to take their time, but they also still valued speed.
They expect mommy and daddy to do it for them.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Because generally you don't have a problem having a salesperson walk up to you when you walk on dealership property. You know, they're taught to take that, what's called the up. So they're taught to come up to you and ask you what can they do to help, or what are you interested in, or let's put your butt in the seat of a car and get you emotional about it and sell you something you don't need. Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you did say that. General Motors is aiming to simplify the EV charging experience by allowing drivers to plug in and automatically charge their vehicles when using charge points on the Ultium 360 network, rather than rely on a mobile app to set up and pay for charging. GM will launch the plug-in charge service. Allegedly, they did it Thursday with EVgo down here at the Whole Foods. After drivers with an EVgo account, active OnStar connected services, and the GM brand app on their vehicle perform a one-time activation of plug-in. Ready to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, and get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos with adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and cars will automatically compete for those much sought-after custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. It's Tailpipes and Tacos Fall Edition, Saturday, September 17th. The In Real Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate the beginning of fall and the return of the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Saturday morning, September 17th, 8 to 11 a.m. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Want to take a minute to tell you about Gulf Coast Auto Shield, a Houston detail company like no other. Gulf Coast Auto Shield offers paint correction services that'll give your car, truck, or SUV a like-new shine. Afterwards, you'll want to protect it with a professionally installed nano-ceramic coating or protection film. Worried about your very expensive windshield getting damaged, broken, or cracked? Let Gulf Coast Auto Shield install ExoShield, a windshield protection film. Give John Gray a call today or check out their website, gcautoshield.com. Hey, whether you own a new, ultra-expensive, exotic, or a 5-year-old Suburban, Gulf Coast Auto Shield will help keep your investment looking like the day it rolled off the assembly line. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is conveniently located on the South Sam Houston Parkway, just south of I-69, the Southwest Freeway. Meet the staff and check out all of their services online right now at gcautoshield.com. The In Real Time Car Talk Show is now part of the iHeart family. Now you'll have access to 24/7 Car Talk anytime you need a fix. Just download the iHeart Radio app and ask for In Real Time Car Talk, and there we are. Be sure to save us in your iHeart library for instant access. No matter where you are, you have the best Car Talk Show right on your PC, laptop, or mobile device and never have to worry about finding us again. Of course, you can always get access to our video and audio streams via InRealTime.com and your favorite podcast channel, and all of this is free to you. From the iHeart Radio app, you'll not only hear our Saturday morning live show, but the best shows of the past, updated weekly. Never miss a minute of up-to-date new car reviews, pre-owned reviews, Konrad's Car Clinic, informative interviews, automotive news, and the most fun car talk show on the planet. Just download the iHeart Radio app, search for In Real Time Car Talk, save it to your library, and with a tap of the icon, you'll be in touch with your favorite Car Talk team. In Real Time Car Talk, streaming now on iHeart.com/InRealTimeCarTalk.